Good morning, everybody. Oh, there's Ruby. Ready, baby? With Ken again. Oh my goodness. He's made it back. We are actually in a different Airbnb. We switched Airbnbs because the one we were in wasn't available for the whole duration of our stay here in Kuala Lumpur. But it's fine. It's been great here. We only have a few more days left in Kuala Lumpur before we head to Langkawi. And we have pretty much done everything around here in Kuala Lumpur. So we are heading to a place that is supposed to be the most historic spot in all of Malaysia, right?
I think.
Yeah, so it is Melaka. A lot of you guys recommended coming to Melaka, and there was somebody that said you have not been to Malaysia unless you've been to Melaka because of the history there. Do you know anything about the history? No. I feel like I know a little bit about the history, but I don't know for sure, so I'm not going to tell you about it yet. But we are taking a guided tour there, so we will be learning a lot more about the history, and we will be able to tell you then. But they are waiting for us downstairs, so we have to get there now. This time she not only brought Ken, but she brought Barbie too.
I feel like these elevators aren't going to make it every time.
They're literally the slowest elevators we've ever had.
We made it onto our tour bus. We had a short drive to get here from the little van that picked us up at our hotel. We are waiting for one more person, he said, and then we will be on our way to Melaka. Yep. It's like a 2-hour drive, so that's all I got.
2 hours later.
So we made it to our first stop. It's St. Peter's Church. He said it was gifted to the Portuguese people who were here by a Dutch man, and it's extremely old. Looks pretty cool though. It's actually the oldest Catholic church in Malaysia. It was built in 1710.
So the oldest part of this church is actually the church bell, which was salvaged in the year 1608 from a different church actually, and then they brought it in here and put it in here, and it's still up from 1608. That is so old.
But she looked brand new. We're going to the most important place next, which is lunch.
So we have just come to this restaurant called BBQ Charlie, and it's a really cute restaurant. It's very old, and something we learned about the Malacan food is that back in the day when there were migrant Chinese people that came here, they had met and married Malay women, and then this started the fusion food, which is basically where they took the Malay herbs and mixed it with like the Chinese methods of cooking. It turned into Peranakan style of food, which basically means like a blend of Malaysian, Indonesian, and Chinese food here. So that's really cool. Very interesting to know that fusion food was the thing that started way back then. And we're gonna try some of that food now.
We made it back to the bus. The food was super delicious, but we ate it like family style, so it was in like the middle of our entire tables. We didn't feel very comfortable filming everyone eat that was around us, so food was delicious. You could tell it was definitely a blend of like different cultures. The next part is we're going to drive to a spot, and then we're going to do a walking tour of all the historical places here in Melaka, so that's where we're headed to now. So we made it to our third stop here. It's a huge ship that they have. I guess it's a museum here now, but it's a Portuguese ship called the Flower of the Sea. It was used when the Portuguese...
Dutch. They were,
yeah. It was before them.
Before the Dutch?
The Indonesian guy.
And the Malay, right?
I think it was the Indonesian guy. So it was a ship used when the Portuguese conquered Malacca. When they colonized it, they came here and took over whoever owned it first. I don't know.
Yeah.
The ship they have here is actually 3 times smaller than the actual ship, he said.
So they came on this ship and this ship only traveled 3 times before it broke down. So they had collected gold from all these different places that they went, and then this was the last place that they came, and they had collected the rest of the gold, and then they were heading back to Portugal to Lisbon, and they didn't think of how heavy the gold and everything that they the treasures they collected were.
That's because the Dutch were taking over, so they were in a hurry. So when the Dutch came to take over the land, like the Portuguese people like grabbed all the loot, the treasure, the chest, the gold and all that, and just threw it on the ship and then left as fast as they could. So
and it never made it to Portugal.
They didn't make it very far.
And they have, so along the straits from here, because Malacca has these straits and they lead like to Indonesia, to Portugal. They used to use these straits to trade spice and so many different types of things back then. But yeah, so they were using these straits to go back to Portugal, and it never made it, and they have never
still to this
found
day.
it.
That's
so
cool.
There's a sunken ship.
So we're going on a treasure hunt.
There's a sunken ship right now along this path.
Yeah, between here and Portugal somewhere.
Filled with treasures that never made it. If you were to find that, you'd be a billionaire.
Oh yeah, for sure, yeah.
It's so funny because we literally just watched Uncharted, and that's all I can think of is when they were on
the huge ships.
The huge ships, and they found them. So that's very interesting.
That's cool, yeah.
But now the ship is actually a museum. They have replicated it. Like Tim said, it's only 1/3 of the original size.
It's huge still.
But it is so interesting and fascinating that this happened.
It's so cool, yeah.
But now we're walking along the river. They actually have some river cruises that you can take here. They are just like the canal cruises that you would take back in Amsterdam.
Yeah, they are, yeah.
They're very pretty. This whole place is so historical looking. And you can really tell that they kept the charm from back in the day.
For sure,
It's so different from the rest of the places in Malaysia.
Yeah, definitely is, yeah.
So let's continue on with this tour.
Let's do it. Okay guys, so we're at 0 Point, I think is what we called it, but it's basically the birthplace of Malacca. There's a bunch of different like gifts that were given to them by the British and the Portuguese. This cool fountain right here, it's called the Victoria Regal Fountain. It's given to them by the British. It's extremely cool looking.
Yes.
And then there is a clock tower. I believe it was given to them by the Portuguese.
Yeah.
But it's extremely tall and
very
large.
Cool. And you can tell it's so old. It's like very dated.
They also set up like a school for the Malaccan people to go to for free too, behind us here. It's connected to the church.
Very, very cool.
So it's definitely like a historical square.
Yeah. I don't know if we mentioned this, but Malacca is actually a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
It is, yeah.
So Malacca and Penang, which is an island off the mainland of Malaysia, they were both deemed World Heritage Sites by the UNESCO. Because of how they preserved the history in these places. And you can totally tell, like you feel like you stepped out of Malaysia. Like it is so different here. You can see the Dutch influence, you can see the Portuguese influence and the British influence. Like they've got their own clock tower, they've got windmills, they've got Roman Catholic churches. So much going on here, and it is so beautiful. And just another thing that really tells you the roots of the multicultural that Malaysia has. It's very fascinating and very beautiful.
It is really beautiful.
So we have just stopped at this watermelon juice spot. Our guide was telling us they have a unique way of making this watermelon juice. Basically, they take the whole watermelon, they cut a hole in the middle, and then they take a hand mixer and they just blend the whole inside of the watermelon until it's frothy and into like a juice, and then you have this thing, watermelon juice. How's it taste?
Yeah.
Very refreshing, right?
I have like some like watermelon bits in it.
Does it? Very cool. It's much needed on this hot day.
So guys, there's a fort here that was built in the year 1511. It's extremely old and preserved. It was built by the Portuguese that were settled here. It's actually the entranceway to what looks like a really cool church on top of a hill here called St. Paul's. And there's also a really cool tree. It's a Melaka tree.
We have just made it to the top of this hill where St. Paul's Church is, and it is so old, probably the oldest church here, well, aside from that Roman Catholic church. It has an amazing view of the Strait of Melaka, definitely the best place to see it. And it is so cool up here. It is a little bit of a climb, you have a lot of steps to climb up to, but I think it's definitely worth it.
Definitely worth it, yeah. So we made it to Junker Street.
Yep, it's our final stop on this tour, and it looks like it's just a street filled with a bunch of different things. You can get some Chinese food, you can get these things that they called durian chendol, which looks like durian ice cream, I guess. And they also have durian coffee, which we are going to try. Also, they have coconut shakes, which is a big thing here, so you can get yourself some coconut shakes.
Yeah, you said they had some Portuguese tarts, which is really popular to eat around here. And then there was another durian treat, I forget what he called it, dodo. I think he called it dodo, but he said it was really sticky, but it was like a really popular dessert to eat. So we're gonna try to find that too.
Yeah, it's a very cool street. It looks so different than the other part we were in.
Yeah, it does.
We're just kind of wandering and looking and seeing what we can find.
Let's go look.
So we found a coconut shake. We could not find durian coffee anywhere, just the instant pack that you kind of buy and make it at home. So we opted for the coconut shake, and this is really cool. So it's basically like coconut blended with ice, and then they put some coconut ice cream on top, and then coconut flakes, and then some biscuit powder, and we have the coconut shake. How's it taste, Ruby?
Really good. Wow, that's so good.
It's good?
It is so refreshing. So yummy.
So we just got some durian candy. Our guy told us to get some durian candy. So we got some.
Yeah.
It did.
How does it taste?
Good.
You like it?
It's chewy.
Is it chewy? Sticky on your teeth? You okay?
Oh.
Dude just ran into the corner.
There's blood. There's blood involved.
Oh gosh.
Don't smell it. You just can't smell it. You know you just gotta dive in. It's not bad. It's not great though.
It's so good. It's so good.
Our tour has concluded of Melaka, and we have only great things to say about the place, and we definitely think that if you're making a trip to Malaysia, you should add that to your list, because it was a super interesting, very historical place that's been super preserved.
Yes.
You could see how Portuguese were there, and then the Dutch were there, and then
the British were
there, and finally Malaysians came back.
Yeah.
So it's such a cool place to check out the history, and if you want to learn a lot more, try to get a tour. Part of it was a walking tour, and then part of it was driving, and it was worth every penny. So
yeah, it was definitely worth it. We booked it with Klook. There was a bunch of different ways to book it, but ours was really cool. The guy was extremely informative the entire way too, so it was definitely worthwhile.
Yeah, I think it was like $30 per person on Klook. And they take you all the way from KL all the way down to Melaka, which is like 2 hours.
Yeah, it's a 2-hour drive.
And they provide food, and it's just a perfect thing to do if you're wanting a day trip from KL. But now we're gonna head back to our Airbnb, and we're gonna get some food, relax a bit, and just end the day.
That's right.
So if you guys like this video and want to see more, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye.